I can't believe I am here sharing a stage with Bette Midler. I mean, OMG. I'm so glad I brought my Ativan. I may have to use it before the evening is out. And congratulations on 40 years of the Literary Partnership, and to the wonderful folks we're honoring today, Marcus Dole and Peter Brown. Yeah, good people. So I'll be reading tonight from Little Failure, my memoir. Most critics agree that the best thing about this book is the cover. This is me. I'm about a year and a half old in Leningrad, the USSR. I think it's 1974. And they had these photo studios where they would pose your child with the latest in Soviet technology. You know, like a phone, for example. And here's me with a Studebaker. Little Failure is really about how I became a writer, and people often ask me, how do you become a writer? First, to be a writer, you gotta be asthmatic. There's no way around that. You gotta have asthma. Anyone have an inhaler? On my book tour, people actually came with inhalers for me to sign, which I thought was very, very cute. Then you gotta have a grandma who writes. My grandmother Gala was a journalist for a paper called Evening Leningrad, which was much better than Morning Leningrad, which was sort of the TMZ of Soviet newspapers. So one day when I was 5 years old, she said to me, hey, asthma boy, you want to be a writer, a novelist? And I said, sure, how much does it pay? She said, I'll give you a piece of cheese for every page you write. And my God, I love that cheese, that kind of almost plastic yellow Soviet cheese. Now, as a 5-year-old, I also loved Lenin, because the biggest statue of Lenin in Leningrad was right outside our window. We called him the Latin Lenin, because he looked like he was always about to rumba, you know. So the book I wrote was called Lenin and His Magical Goose, and it was about how Lenin meets a magical goose from Armenia, and together they invade Finland and try to create a socialist revolution there. My grandmother loved it, and she paid me 100 pieces of cheese for a 100-page novel. Here's a fun fact. Even today, Random House pays me in cheese. So thank you, Marcus and Gina, for keeping the cheese flowing for all these years. If you want to buy this Random House cheese, I sell it out of the back of a van in Canarsie, if anyone's interested. So then we emigrated to America, and I had to leave Lenin and his magical goose behind. And I had to learn English and some Hebrew, because I was sentenced to 8 years of Hebrew school for a crime I did not commit. But 1980 was a difficult time to be a Russian in America. There was Ronald Reagan's Evil Empire speech and all those movies you might recall, Red Dawn, Red Gerbil, Red Hamster, everything was red. I had a terrible accent, but one thing I learned is that when you write, no one can hear your accent. And so I began writing these weird science fiction novels with names like Invasion from Outer Space, thinking maybe if the kids knew I was a writer, they would like me. And then when I was 11 years old, a substitute teacher called Miss S came to Hebrew school, and so began my American writing career. And I'll read you a section from that book. On one of our first days on the job, Miss S asked us all to bring in our favorite items in the world and to explain why they make us who we are. I bring in my latest toy, a dysfunctional Apollo rocket ship, and explain that I have even written my own novel. This passes largely unremarked as the latest batch of Star Wars X-Wing fighters and My Little Ponies are paraded around. Finally, Miss S holds up a sneaker and explains that her favorite activity is jogging. P.U., a boy cries out, pointing at the sneaker and holding his nose, and everyone except me laughs their wicked child laugh. I am shocked. Here is a young, kind, pretty teacher, and the children are intimating that her feet smell. Only me and my 200-pound Leningrad fur coat are allowed to smell around here. I look to Miss S, so worried that she will cry, but instead she laughs her easy American laugh and then goes on about how running makes her feel good. After we have all finished explaining who we are, Miss S calls me over to her desk. You really wrote a novel? She asks. Yes, I say. It is called The Challenge. May I read it? Yes, you may read it. I will brink it. And brink it I do. With the worried admonition, please don't lose Miss S, okay? And then it happens. At the end of the English period, when a book about a mouse who has learned how to fly in an airplane has been thoroughly dissected, Miss S announces, and now Gary will read from his novel. His what? Oh, but it doesn't matter because I'm standing there holding my composition notebook straight from the Square Deal Notebook people of Dayton, Ohio, zip code 45463. And looking out at me are the boys beneath their little flying saucer yarmulkes and the girls with their sweet aromatic bangs, their blouses studded with stars. And there's Miss S, who I'm already terribly in love with, but who I recently learned has a fiance. Not sure what that means, can't be good. But whose bright American face is not just encouraging me, but priding me on. Am I scared? No, I am eager to begin my life. Introduction, I say. The mysterious race. Before the age of dinosaurs, there was human life on Earth. They looked just like man of today, but they were a lot more intelligent than man of today. Slowly, Miss S says. Read slowly, Gary. Let us enjoy the words. I breathe that in. Miss S wants to enjoy my words. And then I continue slower. They built all kinds of spaceships and other wonders, but at that time the Earth circled the moon because the moon was bigger than the Earth. One day a gigantic comet came and blew up the moon to the size it is today. As I'm reading it, I'm hearing a different language coming out of my mouth. I do full justice to the many errors. The Earth circled the moon, and the Russian accent is still thick. But I am speaking in what is more or less comprehensible English. And as I am speaking, along with my strange new English voice, I'm also hearing something entirely foreign to the squealing and shouting that constitutes the background noise of my Hebrew school. Silence. The children are silent. They are listening to my every word, and they will listen to the story for the next 5 years as well, for the next 5 weeks as well, because Miss S will designate the end of every English period as Gary Novel Time. And they will shout out throughout the English period, when will Gary read already? The school is close to Long Island. And I will sit there in my chair, oblivious to all but Miss S's smile, excused from following the discussion of the mouse who learned how to fly in an airplane, so that I may go over the words I will soon read to my adoring audience. And God bless these kids for giving me a chance. May their God bless them, everyone. Thank you.